Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel and thank you for joining me for another video. And with this video, we're starting a series of 5 videos to learn some advanced fancy vocabulary with pronunciation points that you've been asking about and with some example sentences to know how to use those words. So we have lots of things to do, lots of things to work on, so let's jump right in. It's Anna and this is the English Fluency Journey. This video's vocabulary is a friendship-related vocabulary, and a friendship is when people have a friendly relationship. And it's really important in our lives to make connections, to bond with people, and to have someone you can trust to. Our first word is camaraderie.
Camaraderie.
And first, about the meaning. So camaraderie, it's a spirit of friendship, closeness, and loyalty between two people or a group of people. It's people that have and share the same interests or quality. It's being among people that have the same values. You can say that it's a brotherhood or a fellowship. Now, there is no difference between those two words. They mean exactly the same thing and are interchangeable, although that spelling is considered the correct one, and you'll find it in every dictionary. But that spelling isn't misspelling now, it's just another option. But I would choose to use that spelling, of course. You can find different pronunciations in dictionaries of this word, like camaraderie, camaraderie, camaraderie. But the most common pronunciation, and the only one that I've heard, is camaraderie. So the stress is on ra, camaraderie, camaraderie. So we start with ka, we have a sound here, but it's in unstressed position, so it's shorter and flatter in pitch. Come, then we have m and the schwa, but we can just drop the schwa. Come, camaraderie. So the stressed position is going to be higher in pitch and longer. Camaraderie. And then we have the d and re, and we go from the d immediately to the r sound. Camaraderie, camaraderie. Now, this explanation is not an explanation how to make every single sound in a word. It's just in general, I explain how to pronounce it with pointing out the most difficult or confusing points and sounds. Example sentence. I felt an instant camaraderie with every other mother in the world. Now let's analyze this sentence. We're not going to go over every single word. We're going to talk about reductions, connecting, and linking words together. So when we link words together in a sentence, we connect a word that ends in a consonant sound and a word that begins with a vowel sound. That's the rule of thumb here. I felt an instant camaraderie. I felt an instant. I felt, the word felt can be pronounced with a true T or with a held T, with a stop T. So I felt an, I don't release the T. I felt an instant, it's all connected together. I felt an instant camaraderie with every other mother in the world. And then I pronounce all the words separately in the second part of a sentence because I make an emphasis on this part of a sentence. I felt an instant camaraderie with every other mother in the world. The second word is acquaintance.
The acquaintance.
This is a person that you've met but you don't know well. And also it's a knowledge of a subject. There's an idiom to make someone's acquaintance, which means to meet someone for the first time, or you can say to make an acquaintance of someone, which means the same thing. So you can see the transcription of the word here. We start with a schwa sound, then we have a K, then we have a W sound. You should bring your lips into a tight circle and push them forward. Akwa, akwa, akwa. Then we have an A diphthong. Acquay, acquay, acquay. Then we have an N, and then we have either a true T sound or we can drop the T. Acquaint or acquaint. And then it'll make a nasal sound. So then we have the schwa again, an N and an S. Acquaintance or acquaintance. Acquaintance, acquaintance, acquaintance. I'm very glad to make your acquaintance. They've turned from acquaintances to friends pretty quickly. Now let's analyze these sentences. So I'm very glad to make your acquaintance. This is I am. I'm very glad to. So when we connect, when we link glad to, we get the flap T. I'm very glad to make your acquaintance. Or I'm very glad to make your acquaintance. You can say it both ways. They've turned from acquaintances to friends pretty quickly. So they have becomes they've. They've turned. So I don't say they've turned from acquaintances. I say they've turned. They've turned. Kind of a stop D. They turn from acquaintances to friends pretty quickly. Our next word is sidekick.
Sidekick.
A sidekick is a slang word for a friend, colleague, companion of a more important and popular person. In superhero movies, there are always sidekicks. Some of the synonyms are buddy, pal, mate, peer, fella. The pronunciation of this word is pretty easy. We start with an S sound, then we have an I diphthong, and then we have a light D, like a flap T sound, or it can be a stop D sound. So side, side, or side kick. And then we have kick. So it's not a kick, it's a kick. It's a relaxed E sound. Sidekick. So I would stick to sidekick, sidekick. I would hit the sound because if you say sidekick, it can sound like a totally different word with totally different spelling, but the same pronunciation, psychic, psychic. A psychic is a person who can read people's thoughts, for example, or who has some abilities, some mental, extraordinary abilities. Hermione Granger is Harry Potter's sidekick, just as much as Ron Weasley is. So here everything's pretty much simple. We connect Granger to is Hermione Granger's Harry Potter's sidekick, just as much as everything's connected, just as much as Ron Weasley is. Ron Weasley is. And our last word is a wingman. Wingman.
Wingman.
That's another slang word for a guy that helps his friend to pick up women in bars, usually, or a man who helps, protects, and guides his friend. And we call a wingman a pilot whose plane is flying behind and to the side of the leading plane. We start with the W sound. Bring your lips into a tight circle, push them forward, wing, wing, wing. It's not a wingman, it's a wing, wing. It's a relaxed E sound, wing. And then we have NG sound. This is a nasal sound. So it's not ing, it's not ing. You don't release any g sound here. It's wing, wing. So you kind of blocking your throat with the back of your tongue, bringing it up to the upper palate, and the air comes up through the nose. Wing, wing, wing. And then man, A as in cat, an open vowel sound. Wingman, wingman. Example sentences. You've been the best wingman ever. He served as a wingman for 5 years. So, you've been the best wingman ever. You've been the best wingman ever. Wingman ever. Everything's connected. You've been the best wingman ever. He served as a wingman for 5 years. So, he served as a wingman, he served as a wingman for 5 years. I hope, guys, that you liked this format of a video. Let me know in the comments, and I hope that it helps you to practice your pronunciation and speaking. Subscribe if you aren't yet for more useful videos, and of course, hit the like button and click this bell icon to stay updated. See ya!